hope. What's my definition of success? Listening to what your heart says. Standing up for what you know is right while everybody else is. What's my definition of success? Creating something no one else can. Being brave enough to dream big. Grinding when you're told to just quit. Giving more when you got nothing left. It's a person that'll take a chance on something they were told could never happen. It's a person that can see the bright side through the dark times when there ain't one. It's when someone who ain't never had nothing ain't afraid to walk away from more profit cause they'd rather do something that they really love and take the pay cut. It's a person that would never waver or change who they are just to try and gain some credibility so they can feel accepted by a stranger. It's a person that can take the failures in their life and turn them into motivation. It's believing in yourself when no one else does. It's amazing what a little bit of faith can do. If you don't even believe in you, why would you think or expect anybody else that's around you to? I done did things that I regret. I done said things I can't take back. Was a lost soul at a crossroad who had no hope, but I changed that. I spent years of my life holding on to things I never should have kept, full of hatred. Years of my life carrying a lot of baggage that I should have walked away from. Years of my life wishing I was someone different, looking for some validation. Years of my life trying to fill a void, pretending I was in. They get it. Growing pains a necessary evil, difficult to go through, yes, but beneficial. Some would say having a mental breakdown is a negative thing, which on one hand I agree, but on the other hand, it was the push I needed to get help and start the healing process. See, if I'd never hit my bottom, would I be the person that I am today? I don't believe so. I'm a prime example of what happens when you choose to not accept defeat and face your demons. Took me 30 years to realize that if you want to get the opportunity to be the greatest version of yourself, sometimes you gotta be someone you're not to hear the voice of reason. Having kids will make you really take a step back and look in the mirror. At least for me, that's what it did. I wake up every day and pick my son up, hold him in my arms and let him know he's loved. Standing by the window, questioning if that is ever going to show up. Isn't something he's gonna have to worry about. Don't get it twisted, that was in the shop. Mama, I forgive you, I just don't want him to grow up thinking that he'll never be enough. 30 years of running, 30 years of searching, 30 years of hurting, 30 years of pain, 30 years of fearful, 30 years of anger, 30 years of empty, 30 years of shame, 30 years of broken, 30 years of anguish, 30 years of hopeless, 30 years of hate, 30 years of never, 30 years of maybe, 30 years of later, 30 years of fate, 30 years of hollow, 30 years of sorrow, 30 years of darkness, 30 years of 30 years of baggage, 30 years of sadness, 30 years of stagnant, 30 years of change, 30 years of patience, 30 years of suffering, 30 years of torment, 30 years of 30 years of bitter, 30 years of lonely, 30 years everyone away. You'll never revolve. I know I can change. We are not enough. We are not the same. You don't have the heart. You don't have the strength. You don't have the will. You don't have the faith. You'll never be loved. You'll never be safe. Might as well give up. Not running away. You don't have the guts. You're the one afraid. I'm the one in charge. I'm taking the reins.
In cadence. In cadence. Ready, exercise. 1, 2, 3.
All right, back to it.
First experience at Hargrave.
Aiden Dykstra took me down to the quartermaster. It took like 10 hours to like get my stuff, because that's just I feel like that's a common experience at Hargrave, taking forever in the quartermaster on your first day. So I remember when I got here, the very first thing I did was make my bed, and then I went, because I didn't feel like unpacking my stuff. I'm a big procrastinator. I went and taught everyone else how to make their bed, so I didn't have to unpack my room. And I pretty much spent my first day doing that. And then I just remember my first night, I couldn't sleep at all, because I was so excited. I was like, wow, I'm finally here. This is what I've wanted forever. So, and then I probably fell asleep at probably 5, and then Reveille went off at 6. And Reveille is a very jarring experience. Your first Reveille. Every Reveille is a very jarring experience. If I sleep in and I accidentally wake up to Reveille, it's like the rest of my day is ruined. That's just a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing to do. Such a travesty. But, yeah, and my first week, I just spent the time getting to know people, trying to establish my presence, I guess, on barracks, and having people get to know me. So it was just, it was fun. I wish I could go back to that time, because then I don't think I would change a thing, but I just want to relive that experience again. It was a good time.
Good. Yeah.
Barrett, tell me about your...
We didn't do this last time. This is new.
It is?
It is.
Holy cow. Okay.
First week at Hargrave is new.
I did that with the alumni. I don't do it with the cadets. That's why.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Am I on a podcast?
Yeah. This isn't the first podcast. This isn't the second one either. I've had 4, I think.
Yeah, I know you have had one like with...
Yeah, I haven't released them all. That's all.
Oh, okay.
We're going to put them on a drip feed. Don't worry. There's going to be lots of them.
I came last semester.
A little closer to the angle.
I came last semester during winter for the spring semester, and I didn't really know what to expect. I hadn't toured the school. My parents kind of dropped me off, and I was completely lost. Aiden Dykstra led me through, told me everything. I felt like I had to be explained things like 3 times because I was just so much information was thrown at you. And a couple of weeks ago, I got it down, and I found like a lot of comfort in the routine.
Let me tell y'all something. Let me put this mic back on. Y'all got to hear this. So I've been trying to rebuild my cardio because I haven't trained really hard. I've been injured, so like recovering has been rough. And it's not like the school year hasn't been hard on me because y'all keep me busy, right? So like I've been training with him, trying to rebuild my cardio. And today he ate his Wheaties, man. Like, and he's already a big guy. And I told you this when you came in. I'm like, I look like a kid trying to fight his dad today. I'm gonna tell you right now, like it was rough. Yeah, I came back. Did you see me when I came back in all red, Phoenix?
I did. I did.
Burn all over my face, man.
I was like, what's going on? Commandant's like, oh yeah, I got some blood on my arm. It's not mine. And I'm like,
It's not mine.
I'm like, oh.
What a flex.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. All right, who's next?
All right. What's going on? My first experience at Hargrave? I actually got through the quartermaster pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then what I did is like the laundry bag that he gave us, I just put everything on the floor. I made sure everything was put in the right place. I had some guys help me with that. And I was like, I'm not coming out of my room till everything on the floor is gone. So I just spent like 2 hours getting my room ready. I made my bed. I put all my clothes in the closet and in the drawers. I made sure my desk was good and I took everything out. And then, what else happened that day? I'm not sure. And then I had to get I spent like the week or so getting like a feel for the uniforms and stuff. But it was way different than summer school was, for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, I remember summer school with you. It was laid back.
Yeah, summer school was too lenient, I'm not gonna lie.
It was a little wild, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to with Francis Chakoya. So that was an interesting one.
White's little child.
Oh my god. I don't even want to talk about that.
Egg white.
Egg white.
Egg white.
Egg white.
Egg white, wow.
Egg white.
Egg white. We miss him.
No, because that's why
Sometimes.
the futon and the
Get a little closer. There you go.
Okay.
the officer lounge is broken.
Destroyed it.
I heard about that.
Hey, it wasn't just us that destroyed it.
No,
No,
that's what we
it's-
just said.
It's been like in the process of deterioration.
popcorn. It
Facts. But my first day at Hargrave was, I got here, and the person who took me down to the quartermaster was good old Masiata. If anybody here remembers who Mas was, great CO. Love him very much. Mas, man.
I still talk to him.
I do too. I tried to test him the other day. He didn't get back to me. It's a little
He's got a
frustrating.
mustache now.
I know. He's working with the National Guard still, right?
He snaps
No, I think he went active.
He went active? Okay. But yeah, I spent like 10 hours down in the quartermaster trying to get stuff because the quartermaster and Moss kept arguing. So
Yeah.
it was a long day, and then I finally got to my room with all my stuff, and it was time for bed. So yeah, it's kind of my first day. It was kind of like a crap storm.
Were you a second semester guy?
I was.
Oh.
It should have been so quick, but it took so long. Like an atrociously amount of time long.
Wait, I would like to explain my very first day at Hargrave.
Yeah, these two didn't go.
Yeah,
These
I
two
didn't go.
Chuckleheads.
Oh, that's right. You didn't go. Yeah. Yeah, my bad. Go ahead.
Good old buddy.
This guy right here. I hate
You want me to go first?
Never the bromance. Come on.
Okay, so my first day at Hargrave, Aiden Dykstra took me down to the quartermaster.
No
Had
way.
no idea what I was doing. You know, I was like in shock because I had not anticipated coming to Hargrave. I get down there, wait for 10 hours, see this kid named down there, long hair. He was like, dude, what's taking them so long? And then I went up to my room and Fisher was up there with no shirt on with like blaring music. And he's like, what's up, man? He's like, what's up, man?
I remember
What
Fisher.
an introduction,
And
bro.
I'm like, what's up, man? And I'm like, oh, man, it's so nice to see you. And he's like, yeah, just make yourself at home. I have. And it's like, he's got everything all over the floor.
Total mess. I remember that.
And then, yeah, I felt like a bomb was going off the next morning when Reveille went off. And I just, like, jumped out of my bed, turned my light on. I'm like, Fisher, it's happening. That was, like, my first day.
All right, so my first day at Hargrave, I showed up as a 9th grader, so I was on Delta, like unlike these guys, and
Campion was my XO, and he's the one that took me to my room and took me to the quartermaster. And I waited for so long in the quartermaster just to go eat lunch because nobody had moved. And I ate lunch with Zane Saudi, who's still here, which is pretty cool. I remember, you know, like I went over. I can't remember what exactly we were doing, but I went over to it's the yearbook room right now.
The DLC.
Yeah, the DLC, and then you know, Mr. Wall, who got me here, you know, saw me and he patted me on the back like, you know, good luck, and that's when I like started to realize like, oh yeah, I'm off at school now, and I didn't really want to come to Hargrave in the first place, so like I was like pretty stressed out and I was like really mad, and I was like waiting for my drug test, and Sergeant Meeting saw me. And he was like, you know, what's wrong with you? He could see it in my eyes were red. He could see it in veins were popping out of my forehead. He could see it. I just was not happy. Did not want to be here. And he told me the worst news I've ever heard in my entire life, that I was staying here, not going home. Yeah. But I think I finally got my stuff from the quartermaster at like close to 11 o'clock at night. It was a long time.
Yeah.
Just imagine if when waiting for your stuff like that, when there's like 500 kids here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
That must have
to
been bad.
rethink process at that point.
Might have had 2 quartermasters, not gonna lie.
I have some Hargrave Reveille PTSD. PTSD, yeah.
Give it to
Well,
me.
no. Actually, you know how it's like, well, blah, 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 please report to military office. I was walking through Walmart, and on the PA system, they're like, burn. I'm like, no! I'm getting called to the military office in Walmart. I was like, no. Everywhere you go, that's all I hear now is just the military office PA system.
This might be expected to hear from somebody, but homesickness, because I'm fairly close to my parents, and honestly, like I wasn't used to emailing my parents before I came here, so I really did not know what was going on for the most of the time, and I was on 200 barracks, which was like also Delta, but Delta leadership was on 100 barracks. And I didn't even really know like where everybody was at the time because it was only like my second day, and I was like really homesick. I did not know what to do. I had dumped all my bags from the quartermaster on the ground to look for like my belt because I had to get formation. I was late. But anyways, like my floor was completely covered with clothes, and I was just pretty homesick. But I do have to say, like, I was stressing out over just certain things that I really did not need to be stressing out over, and that is probably like a huge like obstacle I had to overcome. Just immediately stressing. I need to understand that a lot of things will play out, you know, and you know whatever the outcome is, either it's gonna be good or I can learn from it.
Yeah. You guys find yourself stressing over things you can't control a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Isn't that like the
definitely.
biggest waste of mental energy?
I
You
think
think about
is.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We adults, we do that too. So feel bad.
I definitely came here with the intention of like stepping up and trying to be leadership. That's like what I always wanted to do when I was younger. So it's not easy when you're a brand new kid who's never done this before. It's not easy any age getting handed a position of authority and knowing how to deal with people one-on-one or you dealing with a group of people. So I was probably a lot more aggressive than I should have been. Do you remember that one time I came into your room and who was it? Galati. I told him to clean. I was like yelling at Galati to clean.
Oh, yeah. Well, his room smelled like cheese.
His room smelled like cheese and I was yelling at him to clean.
By the way, he's gonna watch this, so definitely throw in a line for Galati. So
Galati.
Yeah.
Galati, we miss you, but not your scent.
I can hear him laughing right now. So.
Yeah, Galati.
Do you still keep in touch with him?
Yeah.
I miss Galati.
Yeah. I try to keep in touch with all the little. Because
Galati.
that's Galati.
Yeah, he would post it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's funny, man. That kid. I do miss him. He was funny, dude.
Yeah, he was funny. We miss him on the team, too.
I miss him how he would just you and him would make light of hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime
Yeah.
we had something hard to do, y'all would just be chill about it while everybody else was whining.
That's how it was on the cross country team, you know. Even though we have a bigger team now, I do miss the team where we had like 5 or 6 guys, you know, because we had a really close team, and Gladi and I would just like, you know, have our own kind of fun.
Yeah, that's
So.
one thing with the mandatory sports that I don't really like anymore is because all the people that were in the sports were there because they wanted to be there.
I think I was really close with my wrestling team back home, I was really close to my wrestling team back home, and I love wrestling here, but missing those guys was like a big loss to me. So I felt really bad, getting off the roster of my old team. That was pretty crushing, but I just wrestled through it, and I'm just glad we have a good team here. So.
Yeah. Holman.
Huh?
Oh, you have to talk on this podcast, sir. Just make sure y'all get a little closer and speak a little higher, because it's really difficult to bring you guys' voices up. I can make you sound like Michael Jackson or something if you like. But
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
yeah.
But no, I'd say the hardest thing was probably leaving home. I'm close with my friends back home to the point where I have friends that are over every day. So I think not being home, not being able to see my friends as much as I normally do is still hard, but it's something I'm able to cope with just because I have friends here that are equally as important. So,
Yeah. Do you guys feel like, I know that's probably the biggest challenge we see is like homesickness, but I mean, it's obvious by y'all sitting here that it's worth it, right?
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
It
Yeah.
lasted like a couple days for me.
Most of the biggest choices you make in life are the ones you wrestle over, right?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. That's the case with me.
What about Mr. Ditson?
Yeah.
Yeah. I told you, get that kid a mic. You ain't getting it back.
Your biggest
Alright.
obstacle is your brother being here.
My biggest, not just that.
100%.
Also trying to get over the fact that I was leaving my old school because I wanted to graduate from there.
Yeah.
But it was really hard leaving there, and then also I had to figure a lot of things out myself. And then once I realized that I could figure all those things out myself, I was like Hargrave tested me, especially my first couple weeks. I did not know I could do all those things that I do now. But it's really it is worth it because when we did the podcast last time and we were all going out there, I was like, I might have the best years of my life at Hargrave.
Mm-hmm. You did you notice though the problems that you figure out yourself and the lessons that you have to figure out like that? It retains better within you, right?
Does.
It's like that in my job. Like if I get told how to do something complicated, I'll probably just forget it. But if I do it myself, and it gets a better ingrained. So I think that's one of the benefits of having cadet leaders, is that you all are learning the lessons versus being told it. You have to live it, and I think it just stays. It gets ingrained in you much better.
What?
Barry, what's a challenge you had this year with being first year leadership?
Oh yeah.
Definitely you being gone and being and me becoming interim CEO. I wasn't prepared for it. I don't think I was. There's a reason I got executive officer. I think I'm good in that position, but I had to step up, and that was hard because when you're the same rank as people you're trying to direct, and you haven't been at the school a while. I only was here for a semester, and I felt like a really big responsibility was thrusted on me, which of course I was grateful for the opportunity to have that position, but I'd much prefer you being the CEO for sure.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Well, how did you go through that? How did you deal with it?
We were down a platoon sergeant at that time, and I just realized that I had to rely on Reed, Chin, and the squad leaders a lot more than we did. I delegated a lot because I had the job of XO and CO, and I just tried to be more responsible. I think I had to up my responsibility and my demeanor to surmount that challenge.
Yeah.
But you did a great job, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah, you did.
Let's clap it up for Barry.
I think everybody was impressed, and Bravo was one of the best-looking companies too.
Still
during that
is.
time.
Still is. the
Still
best
is.
looking
Oh, of
company.
course.
It probably will be for the rest of the year, if we're being honest.
Bad Stuff Company's the best.
What do you think about a
Okay.
major company commander?
I think Major Company XO and Lieutenant Colonel Company Commander sounds good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. I like having you on the mat, by the way, because you're super chill.
Thank you, sir.
You work hard and you just relax. And that's the hardest thing for people to understand. When you guys, any of you been on rifle or anything yet?
Yeah.
Do you notice that if you're tense, you're not going to hit anything, right?
No.
Yeah, it's like that in combat sports as well.
Right.
If you're tense, you're going to tire out and you're going to hurt yourself, right? So it's pretty cool to train with you because you're just relaxed. You don't have any expectations, just having a good time. You're still working hard. That's the best way, man.
Yes, sir.
Trash talk is like one of the most underrated aspects of being a cadet here at Hargrave because people don't realize like competition breeds excellence. If you have no competition, you're good the way you are.
You're complacent.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no
Yeah.
reason to improve.
Complacency is the killer of men. I'm telling you.
That's what I like about this year is like everyone's like talking extreme amounts of trash to each other. And it's
Yeah.
really helping having those guys that maybe not would have put effort in, but like previously, like actually try.
Yeah, it's their way
Yeah,
of holding
it's
you accountable.
It's like a buy-in, and it also creates unity from the
Yeah.
companies.
It's a culture thing.
It
as
does,
well.
yeah.
Yeah. As
I
long as
love
it doesn't get
watching
too
it,
bad.
I love watching it too.
I bet you do. I can see your face now watching all that trash talk.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Who's the biggest trash talker?
A bronze off.
Well, of course. Yeah, of course that.
Bronze
Out
Yeah.
of the leadership, it's probably between me and Wall. We talk a lot of we talk extreme amounts of trash. to
Y'all,
each
well,
other.
y'all live right above each other, so.
Right.
Yeah, we're right next to each other. So, and I think it's just our personalities as well.
And the Alpha Bravo
Yeah.
rivalry has always been
That's
notorious.
strong.
Yeah,
They're both
it's
high school
strong
companies.
rivalry.
Because they're both upperclassmen companies.
Yeah, well, the competition, it creates standards, right?
Well, you
For
see,
sure.
but
Yeah.
between us, it's not a competition. Bravo's just the best, obviously. So,
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
I wonder what he'd have to say.
Wall.
it probably doesn't matter as much because his company is not better than Bravo. I'm just gonna put it out there.
So, Hooper, what lessons have you learned from some of these older guys? Give me something good.
In order for people to actually like, I mean, I'm not necessarily like just like you as a person, but in order for people to like really trust you and see you as like a role model, you have to have like a heart and like really, really like weigh all facts around you, what's going on. Like if you're in a leadership position, you know, you can't really think highly of yourself. Self-confidence is one thing, but like, you know, when I talk to some of these guys, like some of the older people, like the ones that really have had strong hearts are the ones that are successful, and they're the ones that made me care a lot more. So
Yeah.
I think the way to like, you know, I was dealt to leadership last year, and one of the things like I valued was that I was around the younger cadets who I hope like would stay at Hargrave, like which would be, you know, the future of Hargrave, like in a couple of years they could be the ones stepping up.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just learned that if I have a strong heart, which shows like like when I put in more effort, I feel like that's what shows my heart, and that's, you know, who they should look up to. Somebody who just knows that they can be faced with challenges, but if it really takes all your effort to, you know, overcome obstacles or just to get through, you know, events or just anything to do with a day at Hargrave, just, you know, they need to learn those things. So
Yeah.
you gotta have a strong heart.
Yeah, we said this the last podcast, but you remember how we said how these cadets aren't going to remember what you say to them; they're going to remember how you make you feel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'll say that. I'll just say that every day because it's true. But like the cadets who were maybe tough on you but still had empathy were probably the ones that resonated with you the most, right?
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
say so.
Character resonates a lot.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. And you guys are good because you have good BS detectors. So if somebody's being fake about it, you're going to know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
It's so easy.
You gotta be close to your guys. Like, you can't isolate yourself from them because like on my first couple days, like some people I didn't even know they were there until like they finally came up and introduced themselves. So you can't isolate yourself. You gotta be like, I get like when it's time to lead, you lead, but then like you also gotta be like close and personal with your guys because they won't listen to you if you're just like barking orders at them or doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's a balance, though.
Of personal
Because if you get too personal with them,
Then they might like
then they could try and take advantage. You know what I mean?
They just have to. You have to
Yeah.
learn to have a line.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
it's funny because the dogs actually don't listen to the words you're saying. It's the tone you're saying.
Yeah.
it with. That's how they know what you're saying.
You just call the Delta kids a dog. I see how it is.
Pretty much. I mean, there's not much.
What's better, Delta or Bravo? I know Luckman's gonna pick a battle if you.
Luckman would say Bravo. Luckman would say Bravo.
Oh man.
But no, I think we actually had an incident earlier this year, like that, with someone I'm extremely close with. We had to move him from bat staff because bat staff wasn't exactly the best environment for him to do his best. Barracks officer and something.
Just barracks.
The acronym is
Barracks
boss.
officer, yeah.
That's
I
all
got
we
you, I
know.
got you.
But yeah, it was pretty hard for me because I've known him for 5 years. We've been pretty close friends for those 5 years. Like what I said before, he's been at my house for every day since we were freshmen, and before that too. But it was hard because I didn't know how to go about it because I didn't want to make it seem like we were firing him because it wasn't exactly us firing him. It was us trying to put us in a better situation as well as him in a better situation to succeed. So it was frustrating. I think it was definitely hard.
I think that some of that too is that you have to have the confidence enough to know that if you're doing the right thing and you're handling it the right way, you can't focus too much on their reception of it. You have to focus on your delivery and know that you're doing it with integrity and doing it the right way. And then however they take it is their responsibility. As long as you're doing it the right way. If you focus too much on what others are going to think about your actions, you're actually going to adjust yourself because you care too much about that, right?
It's also just very difficult to have a first-year cadet on bat staff.
Yeah, but like you
And that's
said,
just
first
how
year
it
is a lot.
Yeah, first year is really difficult to put in a leadership position, especially bat staff, because you're on the steps. You know, you got to represent.
It's not just that. It's more so bat staff is you have to know how Hargrave works to work on bat staff. It has to be something you kind of understood how Hargrave works on a day-to-day basis, as well as you have to know the schedule of Hargrave. Like, you have to know when we have things, because that's what bat staff does. We plan things out for the rest of the corps to execute, right? Like Founders Day. Founders Day was great this year. We had a really good plan for Founders Day, and we executed it really well. Obviously, there were going to be some ups and downs with it, but other than that, it took the entirety of bat staff to plan out that one day. One day took the entirety of bat staff a week to plan. Right? It's one of those things.
Yeah. Nothing ever goes to plan, too.
No.
That's something you guys
never.
are going to learn a lot in leadership. Yeah. Yeah, nothing ever goes to
Mr. Bunker
plan.
with the wisdom.
No, not really. Just the gray hair.
We make plans. God laughs. So,
What does Mike Tyson say? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face?
Yeah.
I've noticed that it seems to be that the leadership that the cadets seems to stick to, it's the leadership that know how to handle the smaller interactions the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the little problems, the little interactions, the little things you have to deal with. And we've had this conversation last podcast, but it's typically the little things every day that really make a person. And it gives you something. And yeah, you had this conversation actually. Yeah, you said this last time. Go ahead.
What's it called? A lot of times when there's problems on barracks, people usually come to me because lots of times leadership up there, like, they don't really know, like, how to handle, like, those small incidences. But, like, I'm really good with, like, I guess talking to people and, like, trying to fix, like, those little things, you know?
Yeah.
I think leadership, when you get put in a position, let's just say first sergeant, for example, people feel like they have to act a certain way or be a certain person. But the truth is you got picked for that position because of who you are.
Yeah,
you know
be
what
yourself.
I'm
That's how
saying?
you got there.
Yeah, and so, like, it was very difficult for me to transition to be a first sergeant because I thought I had to be a dog. And sometimes you do, and there's certain places and times to do it, but being personable with someone on barracks is probably the most important thing because that's what they're going to remember, you know. If you pull positional power and yell at them all the time, it's not going to mean anything. It just decreases the effectiveness of it.
Yeah, exactly. Good leaders you don't want to let down. Think about Colonel Redding. Do you really want to let him down?
No.
He's a good guy, right?
He was explaining it to me.
Yeah, if he was a jerk, you probably wouldn't care, would you? No, but he's not. He cares about you, right? Yeah. So that's the difference, man. Seriously. It's you want to be the guy that they can depend on, and you also want to be the guy that they don't want to let down.
Lookman looked like Jesus when he came here.
Lookman did.
Oh, he
He
did.
did look like
Y'all remember? Does
Oh, he had the
anyone
hair.
remember
Yeah.
that?
The hair.
The hair was down to here. It was longer than what I had.
Who do you think had the wildest hair other than Luckman coming in? Who had the wildest hair?
The one kid from summer, the senior. Oh my God, what is his name?
Merritt was pretty crazy.
He was.
That's right. Yeah. Did y'all see Reed's hair when he got here?
Yeah, mullet.
Yeah, the mullet.
That was pretty tame.
I love that. I give Reed a hard time.
April's hair when
he
he came here
I don't remember that.
in the summer. Y'all didn't see it.
I think Epperson had some insane hair like 2 or 3 years ago.
You know what I like though? You know what I think is
Island
funny?
Boys.
This is kind of petty, but it's funny. I love when we get those guys that come here and they're like, "Man, you ain't cut my hair. Y'all ain't cutting my hair."
Yeah,
And
that's
then
what
they get their
everybody
hair
thinks.
cut.
That's what everybody thinks.
And I love messing with them because I'm a jerk like that. I'll walk by them and go, "Yeah, they ain't cutting your hair," but they already got his hair cut. You know.
Yeah.
This. How did you adjust to being BC? Because you're a nice guy.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it was a little imposter syndrome when you first got it.
It was. So it was very frustrating. It was overwhelming because there's a lot to do. You know, there's not really like a set way to do the job. Everybody has their own different way of doing it, and that's what makes any position hard. But you know, just talking to the right people and communicating honestly gets you where you are. And sometimes it honestly changed me a little bit because you realize that you can't be nice all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It just can't happen. There's times to set standards, time to like not necessarily yell, but get your word across. And so
You got to be stern. You got to be firm when you
Yeah.
need to be firm. Yes.
yeah, it's very difficult to adjust to, and it's not for some people. But you know, I don't mind doing it because I know in the end, when they look back on me, they're gonna be like, "Oh, that guy made me successful," and that goes for anybody.
Yeah.
So,
Of how, regardless of the outcome, you wanted to put the school first, and I thought that was amazing.
we talked about that a lot before.
Even during leadership school, me and Phoenix were talking about that, and you know, I think that's probably why it came down to the two of us and some other people, was just because we were the ones willing to, you know, put the school first.
Mhm.
Like it's always the school first, and it's about the future of the school. Like I'm not like just because we're graduating this year, I'm not done. Like I'm gonna be here every year, checking in. You know, I'm
Yeah,
gonna be
exactly.
there
Yeah, I hope
through
so,
all
man.
of- Yeah.
Exactly, coming back, supporting the kids because that's what really matters. You know,
I
not
think that
just
was
the one and done check out. You know.
I think that was a problem last year with the seniors.
Oh,
Not-
that
not to-
definitely was. Yeah.
Not to hate on
Big
them or
time.
anything. I love them, the seniors last year, but I feel like when they left, they didn't really set anything up for us.
No.
They didn't
No, they
teach
didn't
us
at all.
anything. I feel like, okay, the seniors overall, I won't say for me, Deitzer mentored me perfectly fine. He taught me a lot, but I will say the rest of the seniors didn't mentor the people they were supposed to be mentoring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just expected us to like be able to do it, or I don't even think they expected us to do it.
They just
I
didn't
think they just didn't care.
They just didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't care enough to actually attempt to set the school up for success after.
Well, that's a little frustrating. The main goal of a leader is to build other leaders, right? If you're running the Corps,
Yep.
yeah. Go ahead. You were gonna say something.
Yeah, so last year, I think Rose was the only one that was doing it, where he mentored a prospective member to fill his position next year, and he taught him how to do it. And I think that's one of the most important things that we're going to kind of touch on this year, is our prospective candidates, teaching them how to do the position so when they get there, it's not like they've never done it before.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely a big part of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Archie, hey,
Yeah.
Archie.
Let me ask you guys. Let me say this. I used to say this all the time in my jiu-jitsu class. What does a mountain climber do?
They look at the peak.
Yeah, but what does a mountain climber do after they've climbed the mountain a couple times? What do they become after that?
Stronger.
No, not just that. What do they do? What do they typically become?
Dude, I know.
They become guides.
Yeah.
The teacher, yeah.
A mountain climber who reaches the peak a few times typically becomes a guide, and they start bringing other people up the mountain. And that's kind of a good, like, I guess you'd say euphemism for leadership. Is because once you get to where you are, you kind of have a responsibility to bring others up the mountain too. And the funny thing is you learn more bringing other people up the mountain than you did on your climb. Right?
About 2 winters ago, me and my cousins, we all have like a shared house in New York, like a ski house. So, I'd been skiing before. I knew how to ski, but I wasn't like that great. Like I was still big on pizza, like doing the pizza and French fries. Like
We
that
can
was
get
my-
along.
That was
Yeah.
my big thing. But so my cousins were becoming ski instructors, so I was like, I'll try it, thinking that I would be trained on how to teach somebody. No, they kind of just gave me the jacket, and they were like, all right, here's like 5 like 8-year-olds, and you're gonna teach them how to ski. I was like,
man.
are you kidding me? And it was like that for an entire season. I did that. I had like 52 days in my pass. And then I became like a really, really good skier just because I was teaching other people how to do it.
You were focusing on the fundamentals
I
and
was
regurgitating
focusing
it.
on
Yeah.
the fundamentals. I was showing other people. And by watching them, seeing what they were doing wrong, it's a reflection on, what I'm doing wrong as well.
Yeah, we see that in jiu-jitsu. I always tell the people that the people who teach are usually the ones who learn it the best. There's just a constant re-ingraining. My goddaughter Gracie, man, you met Gracie. Have you met Gracie yet?
I think I have.
She's a monster in jiu-jitsu. She was running my kids' class at like 15 and 16 years old, and she was an absolute monster. And what it was that she just kept teaching the basics over and over again.
Yeah.
We had a group of guys come in, and we had a group of guys come in. It was like a MMA squad. These guys who just did local MMA, and they had a few fights. They fought in this league, and they came in. They were training with Gracie, and I swear I think she tapped all but one of them out. And it was a little disheartening, I'm sure, for a few of them to get beat up by a girl. But it should be a lesson, as in, maybe you should go back and work on your basics. But her just working with kids made her so good because it was just the same basics over and over again, and it was foundational.
So
But
it's also like a lesson in patience.
yes, yes, absolutely.
It's a bit, and that's a very underrated, character trait, patience, and and perseverance as well. Just being able to sit through being physically beat up, emotionally beat up, morally beat up, and being able to take that and improve and still keep your bearing and be calm. And we kind of hit on that earlier. Like as soon as you lose your temper, you've lost. Like you've just given all the initiative you had to the other person.
I've got a kid who
A little closer to the mic.
I've got a kid who will come up to me every day and say a few words. At first, I didn't care because I thought it was funny. It was like an inside joke between us.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm getting tired of you. And I don't want to say it to him, but it gets real frustrating sometimes. And I'll just be like, leave me alone. Leave me alone right now. Like, I just want to be left alone. Because there'll be those days where I get another CCC or a new thing hits me, and I'm just like, dude, just leave me alone. Let me be for a second. And it gets...
Does he come to you because he just wants your company?
No.
Yeah?
I purely believe it's just to mess with me.
It's Phoenix, isn't it?
No.
I'm just kidding.
No.
No.
What'll happen is if you always have in your mind this kid's going to be that way, you're going to see that regardless if it's there or not. So you should just find a way to address it, to just get it out of the way, man. Because if you hang on to this, I'll give you a perfect example right now. Pick up the mic. How heavy is that microphone? It's not heavy, right? Hold your arm straight out. Leave it there. How heavy is that going to be in 10 minutes?
Pretty heavy.
When you hang on to something in your head, it's just like that. The longer that you hold on to it, the heavier it gets, right? And then you're going to end up blowing up on that kid.
This explains so much with me and my mom.
You always... Let's leave that out. I'm sorry.
So much.
I'm sorry.
No, she knows. She knows it.
But seriously,
if
the
she
longer you
watches
hold on,
this-
the heavier it gets, and you're going to end up blowing up on that kid. You kill the monster when it's a baby, man, not when it's a big monster tearing up the city. Right? So squash the problem now before it gets bigger. He might not even know this is a problem. Right?
Why have we let Phoenix run around for so long at this point?
No, when you
We need
said
a skit of you tearing up the school like that. We're going to make a cardboard
I
Hargrave and have him just, crushing it
I
off.
feel
when
so
you
loved.
said the
Go ahead.
when you said the we kill the monster when it was a baby, I thought of a really really bad joke.
Oh, Barrett, what's on your mind? Give me something. Give me some Barrett knowledge.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it.
Phoenix, ask Barrett. Well, George. Make sure you keep the mic close to you. We need to adjust that, Phoenix. Let me see that thing. Loosen that thing up and straighten that. Straighten that up. And then tighten it back up.
Look here.
We should make this popcorn.
All right, Phoenix, that's my
Let me see
question.
it.
Yeah, it's good. All right.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead. What you got?
That's my question, Phoenix.
You want me to ask Barrett?
Yeah, interview Barrett. This is going to be great.
Who?
Do you love
I'm
me?
gonna put it
Okay,
on
let me
multi.
think. So
Do you love me?
what was the biggest challenge you faced being interim CO?
My friends in the company expected me to act a certain way around them, and I had to become a little more resilient and tough on them. And I wouldn't say it hurt my relationships because they're mature people and they're my friends and they knew where I was coming from. But I don't like to be a disciplinarian. I really don't enjoy correcting people, yelling at people. It's just not who I am. But you have to do that in the job, and you got to be firm, and you got to be resilient, and you got to make sure that your word is respected. And when you're around friends that you know and care about, and they have to do that, it's hard. And also, last semester, they know me as being sort of a more relaxed character, so I had to step it up.
It's really hard to change that when you set a tone. Honestly, out of everything, I think that's you guys' biggest challenge, honestly, is leading together when you're already so close.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on my way, I'm coming. Don't lose faith in me. I know you've been waiting. I know you've been praying for my soul. 30 years you've been dragging your feet, telling me I'm the reason we're stagnant. 30 years you've been claiming you're honest and promising progress. Well, where is it at? I don't want you to feel like a failure. I know this hurts, but I gave you your chance to deliver. Now it's my turn. Don't get me wrong, nature had a great run, but it's time to give the people something different.